Hello and welcome to the Bureau Asia podcast. I'm Matt Cowan, the Bureau Chief and your host, coming to you from Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam's best city, I reckon. Hey, what do you think? Cue the complaints. Oh, hang on. I can hear them coming in now. Actually, we've got a caller on the line as I speak. Just a moment. Bear with me while I take this. Hello, this is the Bureau Asia.
Yes, dear. I'd like to make a complaint about that young man who said that Saigon was the best city in Vietnam.
Okay, and?
Well, it's not. Hoi An is the best city in Vietnam.
Okay. What makes you say that?
Where do I start? There are lanterns, the old town is just marvellous, and there are tailors on just about every corner, and there's a wonderful banh mi that Tony fella, I've forgotten his name, recommended. Banh mi something or other. It slips my mind at the moment, but yes, it's just a wonderful place, and I recommend every single one of your listeners should...
Okay, sorry about that. The Bureau Asia is short on staff at the moment, so I'm doing everything. Mel won't be joining me in this episode, and I'm not sure when she'll be back. We're still together. Don't worry about that. It's just she's busy with her own work. So I have to take calls like that. Now, Hoi An, really? Let me know what you think. Get in touch and tell me if you agree that Hoi An is in fact the best city in Vietnam and why. But if not, maybe you have a different idea. Tell me which city or place is the best. If there were one place you'd recommend a friend or family member to visit in Vietnam, where would it be? Of course, I'm biased. I've been living here since 2010. God, where's the time gone? Anyway, you can get in touch on Spotify. I'll leave a section for you to leave comments there. Or better still, you can leave a review of the podcast and make a comment on this topic on Apple Podcasts. You can also leave comments via social media on Instagram and Facebook at the Bureau Asia. I'm looking forward to seeing those, but as always, be kind. Hey, it's been a while since I've done a podcast episode. Apologies for that. I've been distracted doing other things, namely some videos for the YouTube channel. So be sure to go over there to the channel if you watch YouTube. I think a lot of people do these days. To see what I've been up to, you'll find 3 recent videos, 2 of them about things to do in Ho Chi Minh City. So in total, I feature 25 things to do in Ho Chi Minh City in 2024. And I've tried to feature things that are a little bit oddball or left field. Things that the average YouTuber flying into town for a week couldn't possibly know about or have time to cover, including things that may not have popped up on your searches already. So on it, you'll find things like eating in historical places like Pho Bin in District 1. It's not far from the Instagrammable pink church that I'm sure you've all seen, and Tan Dinh Market. Very historical market and a favourite of mine. And one of my favourite places to eat in Saigon, you may know this already, Ban Sao 46A. Now, I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what your messages are that you send me after listening to this. Usually I wouldn't recommend places they've helped blow up. The Lunch Lady comes to mind as an example. I'm not huge on her. Oops, there goes the complaints phone again. Just a sec. Okay, all right. But I think Ban Sao 46A is brilliant. And if you're living here, it's a great place to bring visitors. Anyway, back to Pho Bin. It was a Vietcong safe house back during the war. And it's still going strong and still run by the sons of the man who started it all. So there you go, a little bit of history. Now, it's not necessarily the best pho in town, I have to admit, but nevertheless, it has an intriguing story behind it, especially as it relates to the Tet Offensive of 1968. It's always an added bonus when there's a story behind an establishment, isn't it? So anyway, go and check those videos out, especially if you're planning on coming to Saigon anytime soon. They desperately need some views as well. It's pretty hard to get views on YouTube these days. But you'll also find things like where you can eat under the city in a war-era bank vault. Yep, that's a bit oddball, isn't it? But I've done it. How to take the water bus to a different part of the city on the Saigon River to a less touristy part of town to enjoy a night out, perhaps some dinner and a cocktail or two, including where to see a live gig, how to book a gin distillery tour. Yep, Saigon actually has a gin distillery these days. If you're into your boozy kinds of boat trips, I can vouch for that one. It's very boozy, but also very educational as well. So that's all there on the YouTube channel, The Bureau Asia, which reminds me, now has over 1,000 subscribers. Yeah, pretty cool, hey? 1,000 subscribers is a bit of a benchmark in the YouTube world to aim for, as, at least in my case, it isn't easy to achieve. Perhaps I can do an episode on that some other day, some other time. And it's also one of the requirements to qualify for monetization, the other being 4,000 watch hours in 365 days, of which I currently have about 430 more hours to go in order to qualify. Not that I'm counting. Anyway, pop over there. I'd really appreciate it. And I'd love it if you could help me knock off the rest of the hours soon. So what else have I been doing? Well, I've actually been trying to improve my Vietnamese language skills, believe it or not, which has been a battle, to be honest, because, well, I blame a number of things, but I suspect that it's because I'm inherently lazy. Anyway, last year, towards the end of it, I decided that it was time to do lessons again. I'd been doing lessons over the years, but then I'd stopped and started, picked them up, dropped them again. I'm sure if you've learned another language before, you'll know exactly what I mean. It takes commitment. And I guess for me, the motivation to improve or to develop some kind of competence wasn't there for a long time for various reasons. But anyway, last year I just decided enough was enough, and I enrolled in about 6 months of classes, which I loved and which definitely improved my language skills. However, I've taken a break from classes for now due to work and, to be honest, cost. It's not that cheap to do classes. And when you're my age, cough, cough, it's a slow process. It takes up a lot of your time. But having said that, I've continued studying at home, and most days I spend a couple of hours in the books trying to work things out and then unleash whatever I've learned on the world when I get a chance. Nếu bạn nhẹ này và bây giờ đang học tiếng Việt, cho anh biết về trải nghiệm của bạn. Vì anh chắc chắn chúng ta sẽ có những trải nghiệm giống nhau. And I'd also like to hear from anyone learning English as well. It would be interesting to hear about your experiences. And you can do that via my social media on Facebook and Instagram at The Bureau Asia. Let me know if you want me to talk a little bit more about my Vietnamese language journey in upcoming episodes, but perhaps based on my Vietnamese you heard just a moment ago, you probably won't.
Wow. I think you might be right. I'm thinking maybe I'm way past the point of no return. I'm running traffic lights to spend a little time looking into your eyes. Swear I've been aching, I've been waiting for you.
Okay, Tipdale, let's continue. I want to give a shout out to the refinery. Last week I was in District 1 and needed to kill some time over lunch, and I wound up at the refinery. I'd been meaning to pop in there for quite some time, but it can be easy to forget about this place with so many other options these days. Back in the day, so let's talk a little bit of history about it. Back in the day, I'm talking 15 years ago. I see, by the way, that it just celebrated its 18th year. The refinery was pretty much the place to go, especially when the nightclub Vasco's upstairs was firing. Do you remember that? The OGs listening will know what I'm talking about. Now, although I wasn't so much of a regular at that time, I could still be found there a little bit, and I've got a lot of fond memories of that place. Now, the refinery gets its name because the alleyway was actually the entrance to Saigon's biggest, I think, opium refinery during the French colonial era, the Indochina era, I guess you could say. And if you look closely at the top of the gate, you'll be able to see detail featuring opium poppies. One other place that I can think of off the top of my head right now that features opium poppies on the facade of the building is the Customs Department office. on the corner of Hamngi and Tonduk Tung streets in District 1. It just runs along the river there, the Saigon River, and which happened to be built by Saigon's biggest opium dealer of the time, who had all the contracts, so to speak, if I can say that, to sell opium throughout Indochina and presumably the rest of the world, maybe France. Anyway, actually, I noticed a couple of weeks ago when Mel and I popped into the Lam Son bar at the Park Hyatt, which is opposite, and is also affectionately known as Martini Bar. I'm just going to digress a little bit. Perhaps someone with a better knowledge of bar history in Saigon will be able to tell me if the bar was officially known as Martini Bar at any particular time in its history, or is it just a nickname because I think they got sort of well known for their martinis there, their espresso martinis. Anyway, while I was enjoying a cocktail there and surveying the interesting clientele that gets around there, I noticed that the sign on the gate above the entrance of the refinery has been changed by the looks of it to something a little bit less suggestive, I guess. A little bit less suggestive of it being once the gateway to the home of what was essentially an illicit drug factory, I think with the backing of the police though and the government of the time. I can't remember the wording of off the top of my head right now. I'll take a look next time I'm passing by and update you. Anyway, the history's fascinating, but back to the restaurant, or perhaps the bistro you might call it, the refinery. I went in for lunch. It was quiet early. I think I was there close to midday, maybe 11:30 or something. And by 12:30, 1 o'clock, it was packed. The staff are friendly. It was reasonably priced. I think I had some kind of chicken sandwich and a Coke from memory. It tasted great. Just what I wanted at the time. There was no fuss, just good old-fashioned service and good prices. So no wonder it's still kicking. No wonder it's busy at lunchtimes. If you're going to go in at lunchtime, make sure you get there around about 11:30, 11:45, before all the lunch or the office workers get in. So good on you guys. I'll definitely be back. And before I forget, I mentioned just a moment ago that we went for drinks at Lam Son Bar, aka Martini Bar, which, by the way, was really good. And no, this episode isn't sponsored by them. Although sponsors, any sponsors out there, I'll accept any. I'll take anything at the moment. They have a very reasonable happy hour there. Don't shy away from the fact it's a beautiful 5-star property, because it's actually affordable for a couple of drinks for a quiet night out with your partner. I recommend it. But what I also recommend, and this was a really big surprise, a big eye-opener for me, is the pizza. There's a pizza at Opera. That's one of their restaurants at the Park Hyatt, the Opera restaurant. You just go, when you go in the front doors there at the lobby, I think, you just go left into the space there. There's a bar there and you can eat and drink there, or you can go further on into the restaurant there. But we ate at, I think it's Opera, beautiful bar, sort of overlooking the Opera House, I guess. That's where it gets its name from. Anyway, one of the restaurants there at the Park Hyatt, and you're probably thinking, as if I'm going to go to the Park Hyatt in Saigon for a pizza when I'm there. Well, I'm putting this out there. It's probably the best pizza in town at the moment, and again, at a reasonable price. I think for a pizza, which came with bread beforehand and a couple of non-alcoholic drinks, I think it came in at around 500,000, including tax, which is not bad because taxes tend to be fairly high in those joints. And hey, look, the venue's beautiful, so check it out. Take your partner there. And it was quiet. I think it was I can't remember the night. It might have been a Sunday night, I think. So that might be a little bit of a tip there. Don't go out Saturday night, go out Sunday night. And I believe there's a new Italian chef there at the moment. So wood-fired pizza in a beautiful environment with excellent service. You can't go wrong. So on that note, let me know what your favourite pizza is in Saigon, and I'll do my best to check it out and report back. Or if you're coming to Saigon soon and have any questions to ask about food and travel here, be sure to get in touch via social media on Instagram and Facebook at The Bureau Asia. Okay, that's it for this episode. I'm just playing around with the format while I'm hosting this by myself. Let me know your thoughts. As usual, be kind and don't forget to give the potty a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I'm going to go and enjoy the slightly cooler weather now. The rainy season has finally arrived, so things are a little bit cooler. Until the next episode, take care and stay safe if you're in Saigon. Stay dry if you can, if it's at all possible. And be sure to like, comment, share, all that kind of stuff. This has been Matt Cowan. Ciao for now.